Welcome to the way we ball.
Wow!
That is a welcome sound. I have
Yeah.
not heard you made weird ass noises
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
I
or
know.
more.
We haven't done it. I know.
We haven't done it.
Yeah, we have no one to blame but ourselves. But also just circumstance, like we 2 weeks ago I was out of town for a really good friend of mine's art show and birthday in San Antonio. And then last week you were out of town for
Philly and for what you call for a wedding. Yeah,
so Philly and San Antonio took us away
absolutely.
from each other lovingly.
From each
So
other
now,
and from basketball. Can
yeah,
you
yeah.
believe it? Anything would
I can't.
separate us
I
from
know.
the
It's
joy that
yeah.
basketball provides us.
Yeah. I mean, I can, but yeah, for sure.
The people we love for the
Yeah.
most part.
There's a pretty good list. Like
It's been the battle. It's been the battle
my
I've had
wife
since
would,
I
yeah,
was 6
yeah.
years old. Am I
Right.
going to
My
spend time with
job,
the
my
people I
wife,
love,
my kid. Yeah, those are, those things.
or
Whatever.
watch my
We're good.
kid?
Yeah. I mean, that's
I'm
tough.
Jacob Mustafa,
And I'm Eric Todd.
and we're back. We're genuinely back. We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
stuff to talk about. We waited long enough that there's too much shit to talk
Too many
about.
things. So we
Yeah,
had to pare down what we wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
We have some things. Jacob deleted like 4 or 5 other things I put on here as irrelevant or just,
Some of them
we
are
didn't even.
old,
Yeah.
and we've just got the right people to make fun of that we need to
Yeah.
get to. You know what I mean?
We gotta get serious. We gotta focus.
Yeah.
Focus
Focus on who we want to mock.
on this judgment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like we were saying, look, hey, we haven't done this in 2 weeks. There are only 9 days left in the regular season. If I did this math correctly, right? Like there's only 9 days. It's very close. We're very close to the end. It's happening.
We are approaching the end.
The playoffs are gonna happen. You need to get your playoff pool together. Like everybody's got to fucking figure out.
It's time to start gambling.
How to watch games.
Oh my God.
The gambling. Right. We got to get our Calci accounts or whatever the fuck that thing is.
Calci. Yes,
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
You know what's so funny is I definitely relied on some Calci spreadsheets for the MVP conversation we're gonna have later.
That we're gonna have. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
We got 9 days left in the season, so we got some news we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
We're awesome, but there's some bigger obvious news that we wanted to talk about. There's a story of what happened with Jaden Ivey and Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that.
We definitely want to talk about how that played out and a little bit just about how we talk about mental illness whenever it is very obviously revealed to us on a public stage.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the MVP conversation because everybody's talking about the MVP conversation and it's about to be irrelevant in 9 days. Right. So this is the time to do it. And honestly, because we've got like just the best buffet of MVP picks we've had in a very long time.
Yeah,
and
really.
So everyone in the world can say it is unquestionable that my guy needs to win this. And
my guy, not your guy. Yeah, right.
And we're going to have a conversation with this. And one of my guys is one of the 4 guys. So we're definitely going to talk about it. And then finally, we're going to have our good friend Mirinda Rose on the podcast to talk about some real news. The WNBA is finally paying people. Holy shit.
WNBA signed a new CBA and we're going to get into it, but it's on the surface. It's a big improvement for them.
It's a major win on a lot of levels for labor. And that's why we're bringing my friend Mirinda on. Mirinda, while a passive basketball observer, is a very, very healthy observer and activist in the labor world. And so we want to make sure that we discuss some of the ins and outs of the details of that and where they think this might go and what some of the advantages of it. But before that, we got, like I said, some people to make fun of. And also just we got to talk about, I guess we got to talk about this. We haven't talked in a few weeks, so March Madness happened while I wasn't paying attention.
I watched some of it, and I think actually there's still more that's going to happen tomorrow. Like the Final Four is really tomorrow. As more of an NBA fan, I was really engaged in the first 2 weeks. And also just like as a Houston resident and as an alum of the University of Houston, I was very interested in the goings on there,
how the Cougs did.
Yeah, right. And so I watched a good bit of it. But again, so pretty much all of your real top 6, at least, like and this is not necessarily consensus, but what I would kind of think as my top six,
Which
there's
are Darren Peterson, Cam
yeah,
Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, Caleb Wilson,
yeah.
Kingston
The,
Flemings, and
and
Darius.
I have yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah,
That's who I would have kind of in my top six there.
I think that's who most
There's
people do at
there's
this
the
point.
Illinois guard and a few other, there are a few other people still hanging
That
in
kid is
there.
really good. I watched a bunch
The
of highlights of
Arizona
them
kid,
too.
he's pretty good. I
Yeah,
think I think he can do a lot. I have those other players in my limited watching kind of
yeah.
above him, but yeah, who knows, right? This is a crapshoot, and I certainly am no expert in this or really even that heavy of a college basketball fan until really this time of year. So
And the
anyway,
last time we talked here, we did talk a little bit about them too. So this kind of follows up on that conversation. And what
right,
we talked about in that conversation was Caleb Wilson was out for the year, so you didn't
yeah,
get to watch him among those six
right.
guys. Darren
AJ
Peterson
Devonta's,
has been dealing
yeah,
with injuries this
yeah,
entire time, so you got to see a fairly limited version of him.
yeah,
The question is that the version that exists still because of how serious those injuries are?
yeah,
Remember, he's a kid. It's a one
yeah,
year of
yeah.
injury.
Who
We'll
knows,
see.
right? Yeah,
But
exactly.
what did you see when you saw Cam Boozer, when you saw DeBonsa? What'd you like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so Devonta didn't play really because the BYU, I don't think they even made the tournament.
They did.
So
They did. They got eliminated in the second round, I believe.
did they?
Yeah, BYU. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
shit,
They
I
were
didn't
there.
watch it. So I didn't watch them. I watched Duke. I watched the UConn Duke game, especially. That was fantastic.
This is
Great
the kind of
ending.
insight you guys have been missing for 2 weeks. Two guys who didn't
No,
watch a
that's what I'm
thing
saying.
talking
No, I
about it.
put it on the news thing to talk, but then you were asking me real questions. I don't have real analysis here. Like I watched a couple of games. I mean, I've got some thoughts about Kings and Flemings, but I'm a fucking
Yeah.
homer.
What did you think about that? How about the
I
way that the Cougars lost and Kingston Flemings, their point guard,
so
was
I
probably going to get
probably
drafted?
watched. I watched a little bit of Peterson. I did feel the way that you did. I kind of was like, is this the guy? His shot looks unbelievable. He did look like he was not really wanting to drive. And I did go back and watch some other highlights of him
Yeah,
and while he looks great, yeah, it does look like he may be limited by some injuries or kind of trying to take it easy on some stuff, which hey, it
yeah.
makes sense, man. Like he hasn't really been paid yet. Like, hey, if you're about to get a big payday, I would take it easy too, man.
I
Anyway,
don't know. I don't pay attention to these NIL deals. I think some of them might be getting paid more than we think. But go ahead.
yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, come on, he's about to be a top 3 draft pick, so he's
Yeah,
about to
yeah,
get
yeah. The difference
like a
between that
healthy
and $100 million contract. Yeah.
right, exactly. A real he's about to get like a healthy contract. So I loved his jump shot. I did feel like, oh man, maybe I'm missing something here from his game. Cam Boozer looks awesome. I really like his passing.
Yeah.
I do wonder about his own kind of self creation. A little like Paolo, I feel like he's really making use of his size,
Yeah.
at this level, that he's just bigger than everybody else. And I'm just curious to see how that translates. I mean, he does look like, the thing is, to me, with these top prospects, like you do almost every year, and in this year, this is a deep class. People have been touting this class. It feels like you're going to get somebody who can play, right? Now the problem here always lies in expectations. When I watch all these players, to me, and I've watched Devonta kind of like only in highlights, so I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to, and he looks amazing.
Yeah.
But to me, none of them have that kind of generational talent that feel that, like, to me, just when I watch that I got from like a Wemby, or like, I mean, again, but come on, like compared to this guy,
That's an
yeah,
unfair one, but I get what you mean.
right,
No, I
yeah,
know. He
exactly,
doesn't feel like
or
Shaq.
like,
It doesn't feel like what you call it, maybe Zion.
I
Whenever
mean,
we first
and
saw
that
them,
doesn't necessarily mean like those guys aren't going to develop. Anthony Edwards to me also didn't necessarily scream like generational
top six
prospect.
player without a
Yeah,
question, but like he is.
and he's proven that. So certainly nobody like, I didn't see anything that was like overwhelming, but man, this looks like a deep class, right? That's a thing that's obvious and really exciting. Um, I think people have been down on my guy Kingston Flemings, and it feels like he might fall a little bit. And,
Yeah.
and I get that some of his raw numbers are like a little bit like underwhelming compared to some of these other guys, but you got to realize, he's coming onto a team with 2 guards who returned from the national championship game last year.
Yeah.
So he has like come in as a freshman and become the top ball handler, has immediately stepped into this leadership role. So already I think that that's an impressive feat. But if you look at some of his usage, I think there's a reason why that may be a little bit lower. To me, when I look at him and think he's got the best handle in the
Okay.
class, and
Better
like,
than Acuff whenever you see him.
yeah, I think
That
so.
those are the two guys who I think most people say are like
Right.
the guys who can really
Yeah.
handle the ball and be
To
and
to
put everything
to
in their
me,
hands, point guard. Yeah.
and people talk about Fleming's like he's this like super fast downhill guy, and I think that's true. But what I'm impressed by is his like his control. I feel like
Yeah.
the speed of the game, like he gets where he wants and he gets to his spots and he feels so in control.
A little bit of
Acuff,
Harper, a little bit of Harper to his game.
right. No,
Yeah.
Harper's a great comp, right? Somebody like that where it's like I almost see like Jalen Brunson in the future or something like that, where he
Huh.
just he gets wherever he wants to go. His jump shot is gorgeous. I love
Yeah.
his handle. I love his athleticism. He might be a little undersized, but I think we shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. I just think he's so skilled. Like
Yeah.
I think he may be maybe the most skilled prospect that I've watched. So that's really exciting for Houston. For the A Cup, to me, I really like. He just is like a just a monster. He just looks like a fucking like the Tasmanian Devil cartoon. Like this dude is just like gonna tear through your defense like no matter what you do. That's
Yeah.
that's exciting. Like
There's
and
a
I
little bit
think
of
that
Derrick Rose to him with a little or with a
yeah.
jumper.
Oh, that's great. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
athleticism and like just he's super exciting too. Yeah, I mean, so that's to me my biggest take. I didn't plan to give all those takes, but
Ha! You got any
but
more?
yeah,
Are you good on
nah,
your tourney talk?
nah. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's it. Olivia Miles in the
Yeah.
women's
You were
tournament.
telling me. You were telling me
TCU.
how well
Oh
she was
man,
playing.
she's awesome, but also she two things she wears these like goggle glasses that are fucking cool as shit, and she just looks like really. I'm just like, oh, she's really cool. Like there was another kid in the men's tournament like who everyone was so excited for. He's a little bit like
Oh,
bigger. He
those
looks
goggle glasses look fantastic. Holy
right. Do you
shit.
see? Did you look him up?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
they're
looked her
fucking
up.
cool.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
just
these are
looks
really
really
awesome.
cool. Also,
Holy shit.
she just was like she does whatever she wants. Like she finishes right and finishes left. She gets to the basket. Like you double team her, it doesn't matter. Like I just love her handles. I love her finishing. I think she's gonna go number one, and I think she should.
Fuck yeah.
So that was awesome. I'm like, oh, I'm a fan. I'm just like, oh, cool, already a fan. Just book it. So anyway, those are way more thoughts than, than I had planned for this.
Well, speaking of people we're fans of,
Yeah,
J.
or
Cole is playing in the Chinese Basketball Association.
you're a fan of J. Cole? Yeah, let's talk
There is
about your
not
feelings on J.
a
Cole.
rapper who I have more disdain for than J. Cole. And it's really kind of unfair to him
It is
because
unfair to him.
he's such a mediocre
Yeah.
like artist. Like I shouldn't have the strong feelings on him that I have. But you have to understand, I am what very old people refer to as a hip hop head. I am a person who grew up
It's
in an era where you would use phrases like that.
yeah.
And where basically who the best rapper in the world was at any given time was the most important list that I could ever keep track of in my head.
Yeah.
And it has been so frustrating to see the last 15 years of like hip hop discourse be dominated by people who didn't understand that there was like kind of a style change happening in the genre and that a million different like kind of little as everything else in the 2010s did like the niche became the dominant form where there's a million different little niches in all music and in
Yeah.
film and in all art forms. That's how everything went. And what ended up becoming why J. Cole's prominence became such a big deal was that he was such a classic style of rapper. You know what I mean? Like because he was the kind of rapper that we used to give credit to, he ended up becoming the rapper who we decided was the best. Whenever holy shit, he is one of the most boring people who's ever picked up a mic. Anyway, he's playing basketball in China right now because he has been thoroughly embarrassing himself on
Yeah,
podcasts for the past 2 months. And honestly, since the
yeah.
last 2 years after the first person shooter shit, and he came out and fucking wanted to pretended like he wanted to be in that beef and had zero fucking interest in getting in that beef when
Yeah.
he saw what Kendrick was ready to shoot back. Look, man, just get out of here, J. Cole. Get out of here.
He
Go,
did.
go
He
hoop.
got out of here.
Go
He went
have
to
fun.
play.
Yeah.
He's playing in the Chinese Basketball
Playing for
Association.
the
He's
Nanjing
getting as
Monkey
far out
Kings.
of here as he can.
You're good. I hope he's the fucking MVP next year.
I think
I
it's.
hope
I
that
just think
he
it's really cool that he's like, "Hey, I'm one of the biggest rappers in the world, and I'm good enough at basketball to continue to kind of be a
he's
professional
living
basketball
on
player."
in this
He's
way. I
also
have
like
to admit,
35 or
he is
something,
living
right?
my dream on some
Yeah,
level. I do
yeah,
need to be honest. He
yeah,
is one of the most prominent rappers in the world who just decided he was going to go be a professional basketball player.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. If
Agreed.
someone wants to say I'm jealous of him,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? On some level, I absolutely am. But
No,
also
I
like,
mean, look, no. I get this. Like, so this is how this is how I feel about Christopher Nolan. Right?
yeah, dude,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
like the problem is not that Christopher Nolan makes the worst, absolute fucking worst movies because they're not. They're just not as
He's
good
nowhere
as
near it.
everybody
J. Cole's
says.
nowhere near the worst rapper of the
Yeah,
last like
right.
15 years.
Exactly. It's just that
But I
like
have to
the quality
hear.
of the thing doesn't match the hype, and that's like yeah, no, but I will badmouth. I will like, I think I've said to my wife that I like hope that Christopher Nolan like dies. Like, I think I've said
Jesus Christ.
something like to that. Just right. I don't really, but I have feelings about,
Listeners, I
yeah,
thought Oppenheimer was fine.
yeah. No, not even
I
gonna fucking watch it. No, not gonna
Tenet,
watch it. No,
Tenet,
no,
very cool to watch while stoned.
no, no,
Thing.
no,
Anyway,
no.
on
Garbage.
to
Hot
on
garbage.
to other
Okay.
embarrassing things
Yeah.
like how the fucking Magic have been playing, and
Oh God.
especially how they
Uh,
got
man, I feel
31
like
points in a row scored on them
yeah, they did. That was a record. They also lost by 52.
to the Raptors.
Yeah, I know. Who they're like really competing against for seeding right now. Yeah, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They were on like a pretty good stretch, and then
Oh
we
yeah.
took a hiatus for
I did an
our
apology to this
podcasting.
guy like a
I
month ago.
know
I feel
you did.
bad.
Yeah, I know. Now you
I
gotta you're gonna take back. I don't
take
know.
that back.
Yeah, whatever. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's not. It's not great. And so yeah, so they lost to Toronto by 52. And then like a couple days later, Boston scores 52 in the
52.
first quarter against
Miami.
Miami. It's a crazy time of year, right? Luka just scored at 600 in a month. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time of year is always the Bam thing happened. Like the
yeah.
post All Star is a little wacky. It's
NBA, you're drunk. NBA,
right.
you're drunk right now.
Go
You need
home,
to calm
take a
down.
nap,
Go
take a
home.
nap.
Go home. Drink some
Everybody,
water, NBA.
right? Come on,
You know?
come on.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
So in other news, Cade Cunningham has a collapsed lung. Oh, which also, oh, dude,
Hate that he basically throws himself on the floor to try and save a ball,
I
and
didn't
he
see
just
how it
gets,
happened.
yeah, he gets impacted in his chest, and
Oh,
yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
yeah.
And there's a couple of things that really suck about it. Obviously, it really sucks. He's not going to be in contention for all NBA
Does
or
that
any
does
of
that
the,
officially mean that because he's pretty much out for
yeah,
the
no, yeah, he's not
most
going
of
to
the
be able
rest
to,
of the like he may play the
yes.
last game or so, but
He's not going to get into
yeah,
enough games. So he's going to miss enough
yeah.
games to miss all of that, which really sucks because even though I wasn't one of the people saying he was an MVP candidate,
People
that
were
he
saying
could
that.
have
Yeah,
feasibly been even
yeah,
mentioned means that he
yeah,
was going to be an all NBA first team or second team guy. He's the leading force on the number one team in the East,
yeah,
and they're having to
100%.
survive without him. And they've survived pretty well without him. They've
Yeah,
been 7-2 without him. Their
uh-huh.
losses have been to like the hottest teams in the
Yeah,
NBA,
right.
Oklahoma City and the Atlanta
Atlanta
Hawks.
for some reason. Yeah.
Which, like, dude, next week that's all we're gonna talk about. I know we're gonna talk about the Rockets next week, but we gotta talk about whatever the fuck is happening in Atlanta.
It's
It's
wild. It's crazy.
super
And
soldier
we literally
serum. The whole team
like
is drinking.
3 weeks ago we did a they were on our streaks list, right? and
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you and I both just dismissed them. We were like,
It didn't make sense.
this doesn't make sense, and it's still
They're the
happening,
5 seed right
and it
now.
still doesn't make sense. Like,
That-
yeah, it's fucking
dude.
wackadoo. Yeah.
And speaking of
Yeah,
teams in the East that are picking it up,
yeah,
there is also, I mean, there's been some real movement in Philly. It's really
yeah.
nice. I'm
Yeah.
glad we were very excited about them at the beginning of the year because of how Embiid was playing, and then he got
Yeah.
hurt for a long time,
And then,
and
yeah,
now they're basically back all of the way. They're
it's,
starting
yeah.
to line up that they intend to
PG is
start.
back from the suspension.
Yeah,
They had a really
playing really
nice
well.
win last week against Charlotte in
Yeah,
Charlotte that kind of secured the top half of that play in, at least for them.
absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
and kind of really, Charlotte has a tough schedule, so it kind of really pushed Charlotte down.
Damn Charlotte into these like at the very best 8 seed kind of situation
Yeah,
that they're
well,
in
and
right
but
now.
probably a situation where they're going to have to
Have to
win two
win two
games,
games to get into the
and
playoffs,
yeah,
which
yeah,
sucks given how hot they've been for the second half of the season. But hey,
right,
man, it's great. I'm very, very, very happy to see Philly in here. Not just because I like that team and I like the people on that team, but
yeah,
also simply because I do think that they're one of the more talented teams in the East.
right,
And if they're going to come together at the right time,
yeah,
man, this East playoffs, yes. Like I think I heard Zach Lowe say the other day, like it would be embarrassing for any of those top four teams to lose. But I don't know, man.
yeah.
Like
Well,
Atlanta, Philly, Charlotte. If Charlotte finds their way in there, if it ends
yeah,
up being Atlanta, Philly, Miami, Charlotte, that's a pretty fun collection of bottom four
it's
teams.
tough. Yeah,
Yes,
that's a yeah.
it's gonna be rough sledding for basically all four of those top teams,
And who had
which is fun.
Detroit in here in the top four anyway? And
Yeah,
Cleveland traded their ostensibly second or third best player mid-season.
nobody
I
knows
mean,
what's happening in Cleveland or New York.
yeah,
Boston is integrating their best
yeah.
player back into their
Boston
team.
like
The
should have had a
favorite.
gap year.
Yeah,
Should have, yeah. And it's like, so who really knows? I mean,
yeah,
I love it. Whatever. I also just like am always gonna root for a team for the opposite of injury, for health, right? Just
yeah,
because like we always,
yes.
even when like the Warriors get injured, like I mostly don't, I'm mostly not happy. Like I'm not mad, but like other than that, you know what I mean? It's like if Draymond or Steph get injured, like that's a neutral feeling. But
Yeah.
like everybody else, like, you know, yeah, man, I'm
I'm
always
not going
gonna
to
root for
comment
health.
on
Yeah.
this. I've already said enough times my wishes upon the Golden State Warriors legends were fun. All right,
Anyway,
let's run through
right.
a
And
few
they
more
are
of these.
legends. Yeah, and they are legends. Yeah, cool.
Okay. The owners of the NBA are trying to
Yeah.
add new teams again. We'll talk
Mm-hmm.
more about this in the summer because it'll be more relevant in the summer.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to note really cool. Seattle Supersonics finally going to come back, get their history
Yeah.
back from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Seattle's been it was embarrassing how they left, and they're a great basketball market. I love the love. They have the coolest color schemes in their history that they're going to be able
So
to
cool.
pull from.
So
Going to
cool.
be
Old
awesome to
Sean
see
Kemp
those
jerseys, like,
green
come on.
the
Who doesn't
green
want
and the
that?
orange and the green of the 90s to come back will be really, really fun. But
Yeah.
everybody loves
When I
obviously the
was in
team.
seventh grade, Sean Kemp was like the coolest person
Yes,
in the fucking
yes.
world.
And whenever I was in fucking fifth, he was
Yeah.
too.
So cool.
That lasted for a little while.
Yeah.
But then there's the team in Vegas,
Yeah.
and there a couple of things real quickly on just the concept of a team in Vegas.
Yeah.
One, it feels a little outdated. It feels like Las Vegas was the hot place to bring teams a few years ago,
Yeah.
and while that's happened in every league, and they're going to have a
Yeah.
team in every league or at least the three major American sports leagues. Sorry, NHL. What you call it, the three major American sports leagues. I, it just feels weird to have a team in Vegas because it's just not that big of a city.
And it's a little like the Brooklyn thing.
Yeah, where they're not
It's
going to
like,
have real fans.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, and you've seen like the Aces are like the best team in the WNBA, and you've seen how, like, we've watched this, right? We've seen how like their fans are, you know what I mean?
kind of
It's like,
amorphous and just people
yeah,
who are in town for the week.
right. Like they don't, I mean, which is a shame
But
for a team so
but let's talk
good
about the real problem with it,
and for
man.
Asia, right? Like,
Dude, why are we getting so? This is
yeah, no, we're not saying
we're
anything.
so in bed with gambling.
Yeah,
Like
right,
we're
exactly.
so in
Exactly.
bed with it now.
Exactly.
We're
And then
literally
like slapping people's wrists and like
doesn't make any
I
sense.
just right. And then so like just what I mean, fuck, slap people. I mean, whatever. Chauncey and what's his
Talking
name
about
got
Jonte Porter's or what you
yeah
call banned for the rest of his life.
banned for the rest of
Malik
his life. Yeah,
Beasley is not banned, but he's not going to be back. Terry Rozier almost certainly banned for the rest of their
banned
life.
for the rest of his life.
But Adam
Chauncey
Silver
might
can
go to
go
jail.
sell fucking a team
Yeah.
to
Uh-huh.
for $6 billion to
Right.
any old asshole. And what? We're gonna pretend like there's
Yeah.
not gonna be people pushing the doors, trying to get into, trying to affect the games and the
Yeah.
outcomes.
It's gross. It's not. It's
It,
not.
Tim Donaghy's got to be fucking spinning in his grave right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He died.
Definitely still alive. Definitely still
Yeah.
alive.
I was like, did he die? Like,
Dead in my heart.
yeah.
Dead in my heart.
Yeah. Okay. He did.
Oh,
He did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Real quick, we'll do this one. Look, Mark Cuban saying that he regrets selling the team. Mark Cuban announced the other day on a podcast he regrets selling the team to Patrick Dumont
Announces water
and
is
the
wet.
Adelsons. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No shit, bro. Yes,
The Adelsons are terrible. Who'd have thunk?
Literally the biggest proponents of Zionism in like world history. You sold your team to.
Just,
Guess what? They did stupid, fucked up shit immediately.
Yeah, they did. Right.
Yeah.
It's
now,
a little. I'm a little surprised they didn't just move the team. Right. Like I'm surprised the team is not like the Tel Aviv team or something like that at this point.
Sorry, I mean, the Mavericks were promised to them 3,000 years ago. You know, in scripture. Anyway, last one. Let's talk about our fucking fallen king on every level. Jesus fucking Christ, LeBron James just he never runs out of ways to embarrass us for being so hype about him for so long.
Yeah, this is
kill your heroes. Don't have any icons. Your icons it's a bad idea, kids. You lead on this.
Yeah, this is personal, and I mean, I know that there's reasons why we already should be like kind of like fuck Braun, right? Like you clearly have, I mean, speaking of the Adelsons, right? Like you clearly have reasons here for us to already kind of be out on this dude. But I'm from West Tennessee, and to see him, and again, clearly, like I'm just gonna play the clip. Like LeBron made some comments about Memphis in particular. And
while hanging out with his golfing buddies.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna share my screen if I can figure that out and play we're gonna watch the clip because I think it's helpful to watch the clip just to see it.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Hear this tone, folks.
See my screen. Can you see my screen?
I can. Let's do it.
So, yes. Yeah. I mean, so first of all, like, I just want to know, this reminds me of the KD burner thing a little bit, right? Like, somebody I saw online was saying like something to the effect of like, we know this about LeBron that, I mean, this was ultra critical, but it was like that LeBron doesn't have a real personality, that he just kind of fits into whatever room he's in. And this person was referencing the show The Shop or whatever. I think that's a little rude. I do, and a little maybe reductive. I do think that there's something to be said for this idea that you're these are people who we watch, right? People around LeBron and KD probably stare and listen to them, and they're sort of expected, maybe to an extent, even when they're off the court, to kind of perform, or there's sort of people are looking to them, right? People are. That's probably the effect that they have on people.
They're the biggest stars in any room that they're in,
right? No, just like the fame just sort of does that to you, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that in both cases you might go to sort of a people pleaser mode where you're like, I know this audience, let me kind of let me do whatever I can to make them laugh, to sort of please this audience. But like, this is gross, man. Like, who are these like weirdo white creeps, like fucking golf buddies he's hanging out with? And like this shit, this Memphis Nash, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, what?
Tell them how
Like
you really feel about Nashville,
oh my
Eric.
God. Okay, so right. I mean, we've been through this a little bit. I grew up in West Tennessee. Nashville is one of the shittiest places like ever. Like it sucks. It is garbage. It is a garbage city. Memphis is a beautiful, amazing, wonderful city full of rich culture and rich history and actual music that was made there by and history of music and art and like when I was a kid growing up playing music, like the really amazing, innovative bands from where I was from were all from Memphis. They were not from Nashville. Nashville's garbage. The music coming out of there, it's the music industry. It's everybody transplants. There's nothing to do there but go hang out on the strip at the fucking honky tonks, and like it's gross. It's like it's literally like okay. Also, one of these they're so fucking segregated. Like this is like there are very few things like the segregation that happens east of where I grew up. I grew up in Jackson, Tennessee. So east of Jackson, when the elevation goes up a little bit toward Nashville, like it is wildly segregated. And like almost I mean the black population in Memphis is like 60%. The black population where I grew up is like 55%. Like it's and in Nashville it's like 10%. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're calling to, Braun. Like this is what you're saying you want. Also, there's not a city who loves or deserves an NBA franchise more. Like,
More than
come
than
on.
Memphis.
They come out and support that fucking team, dude.
They
like
have. They have.
And if I just don't I don't also just like if you're not having fun in Memphis, like I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like there's so much, there's amazing food, there's amazing places to go. Like it's among my favorite cities to go to. I don't know. Nope. Okay, rant over on that.
Well, only thing I have to add to that is why are we paying attention to how a billionaire hangs out? Who the fuck, what do we have in common? What does any normal person have in common with their experience of a city? When he's talking about what he enjoys about a city, what he is talking about are the absurd wealthy accommodations that a city can provide. And yeah, you might be right. Those might be lesser in Memphis than they are in Nashville. To that, I can only say, who gives a fuck, Bron? No one cares. We're not like you. Sorry, dude. We're not like you. And because we're not like you, we don't fuck with that kind of conversation. We love Memphis on this podcast.
I mean, of note, again, in coming back to this sort of the KD, and this reminding me so much of that KD Burner conversation.
Yeah.
It does feel a little bit like, I mean, again, he was just talking to some people he was golfing with. So whoever filmed
what is he capable of saying? If this is what he'll say to them, like who the fuck knows what he'll say behind closed doors? Yeah.
Agreed, right? No, but what I'm saying is this is behind closed doors, right?
Yeah.
Like this is clearly these aren't like this isn't a press conference, right? Like he didn't. I mean,
what did he say at the press conference last time, though? Last time we had a podcast where we opened up talking about Braun and what he said at a press conference, he wasn't too much better about which cities he wants to visit. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
that Tennessee talk closed for this moment, and we're gonna move on to it's hard to talk about this without it being a little rough. It was this is probably one of the weirdest, saddest stories in a little while. So I'll just really quickly recap what we're talking about here. So we wanted to talk about Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was waived by the Chicago Bulls last week. He is a draft pick in the top 5 in the last like 3 years, 4 years. Very recent.
I think it was 3 years ago by Detroit. Yeah. And was he top 5 or top? He was top 5 or
no?
Top
he was number 5. No, he was number 5.
He
was number 5.
He was a guy with a lot of expectations, right?
Yes, and he had a rough little go of it in Detroit where he had gotten even when he was playing very well last year and then he got injured and then he came back this year and didn't quite look himself. And then
the team was having success and they
decided to trade for something that could help them immediately as opposed to kind of going with the project. A lot of people really, really liked that move for Chicago, and within a few weeks or a few months, here he is no longer in the NBA. And the reason for him no longer being in the NBA is a series of Instagram live posts that he made where this is the precipitating cause. We've since learned a lot of other facts about what was going on behind closed doors while he was in Chicago. But basically, on these Instagram live posts, he talked pretty openly about the NBA's relationship with Pride Month and how he believed that that showed basically a move away from Christian values. He then proceeded to get further into that conversation with
Yeah.
another live where he stated that, if I remember correctly, something to the effect of Steph Curry will not enter the kingdom of heaven, LeBron James will not enter the kingdom of heaven, Michael Jordan will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Those rings will not save them. So a little bit further into maybe a bit of Christian
The
conversation that you have heard
religion.
probably before.
Yeah.
And then I think pretty shortly after that, he got waived, and a lot of stories came out and then he also kept going on Instagram Live saying that his wife wasn't talking to him anymore. And then a lot of stories came out that he had been asking Chicago reporters if they had been fornicating before marriage. A lot of things deeply connected to a lot of conversations about Christianity, but also you'll hear the phrase mental health used a lot whenever we're talking
Yeah.
about this. I used a phrase whenever I was texting with you that I think
Yeah.
you probably clicked into why you wanted to have this
Yeah.
conversation the way that we are now. I used the word psychosis to
Yeah.
describe what felt like we were watching. He
Right.
was clearly another word for it might be unraveling. Like
Yeah.
it felt like we were seeing someone go down a path in his mind that was not necessarily based on even like I don't like saying logic or reason here, but I'm just trying
Yeah.
to say like he's not his what he was saying was not reflective of the world around him. It was reflective of where he was at
Yeah.
in his head. And this is kind of a really sad story to have watched happen kind of
Yeah.
live before us. He's a very young man who
Yeah.
has basically tanked his professional career forever
Yeah.
with who he talked about and how he talked about them and what he just did with his coworkers. And I kind of am gonna give up the floor here to Eric because I think Eric had a more visceral reaction to the story than I did, and I think that you probably have a little bit more to say about it than I do.
Well, it's sort of a mix. I mean, like, so, and you alluded to this, like, you sent me this clip, and or the news story initially was Jaden Ivey let go by the Bulls for homophobic comments, right? For
Yeah,
anti-gay comments, and and I originally looked at it, and then what's funny is I was looking through the, it's probably a Twitter post, the Twitter post that you sent, and then there were some other people at the time, and I sent you a response that people were saying, like, kind of comparing this to Josh Giddey, and that it, thinking that it was something like a what I thought at the time was like a Tim Hardaway situation, right? Like
yeah,
somebody just like saying some stuff that they shouldn't,
exposing their bigotry in a way
yeah,
that
just
they had
someone
not beforehand.
exposing bigotry, exactly, in a way
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, oh, that's, he said some not so great things, whatever. But whatever, Giddy's still on the team. People were saying things like that. And then the conversation with you said the word psychosis, and then it clicked for me, and I was like, oh, this isn't about bigotry. This dude is falling apart. Like, and the religion component to me is what really clicked for me.
yeah,
I've personally had a good number of friends who have been through some kind of like psychological unraveling, psychosis, something like this in the past, and almost
yeah,
to a person, they've all kind of heavily leaned into Christianity, like, and become this kind of proselytizing sort of monster. But in context, you see like really what's happening, right? Like, my first example of this was a good friend of mine when I was a kid who, uh, somebody who, like, I may have in the past may have even shared with you about. I don't really know, but he was one of my really young close friends. Like any guitar music that I write is almost like assuredly based off of stuff that he taught me when I was like 15. You know what I mean? Like, he had just some weird things that he did that other people don't do with guitar that really
yeah,
influenced the way that I play.
yeah,
And he was one of my first friends to record an album or record music that I would just listen to. Just it was so awesome that I was like, I just would listen to it. And again, he was a close friend, but like, he kind of had this psychological unraveling,
Influencer. Oh, yeah.
when we were late in high school, and from hallucinogens and some other things, but just and yeah, and like following this, like, oh, I'm really into religion now. He like I ran into him at a park we used to always hang out, and he ran at me. And this man is like 6'4", and I'm not 6'4", and he like ran at me with his fist cocked, and then I was like, ah, and then he like hugged me, and then he was like, oh, you thought I was gonna hit you, huh? And I was like, yeah, Tim, dude, yeah, uh-huh. A few years he like stole a cop car after that and drove around literally singing "I Shot the Sheriff" in the cop car, kind of badass. But like also then the cops found him and tackled him and beat the shit out of him, sent him to jail. Like he was dead by 35. He fought in the Iraq War. Anyway, they're just like my other friend Mark, like I have another friend of ours, a mutual friend who the same thing happened to. He went down this kind of this mental health road and found religion, became sort of this zealot attacking other people. Then he like burned down his girlfriend's place of work, like we see this with Kanye. Like I just think the problem is we don't know how to collectively talk about this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that half of the conversation I've seen around this has kind of been around mental health, but then the other half of it does seem like it's just about
responding to what he said and
right,
getting offended by it. And I think a lot of that is about, like everything we talk about on here, reactions to things as opposed to the actual thing that happened.
Right.
And so you end up fighting
like
with
I did initially. I saw the headline and I was like, oh, the headline is he said like a
and if you see who's quote unquote defending him on Twitter, like they're bigots. Like they're just there like, well, if the league doesn't suspend people for this, but they'll suspend people for or excuse me, but people get kicked out of the league for having these, Christian beliefs. And the issue here is not that he has Christian beliefs. Want to know? It's the NBA. They're all Christian.
Yeah, right. And there's probably plenty of people who are bigoted, like, and who are especially anti-gay. Like we've talked about this a little bit. Like there are no openly gay NBA players, probably for a reason. I mean, let's be real, right? Like, and they traded for him. They gave up like. I mean, maybe they weren't going to re-sign Kevin Huerter, but like they clearly brought him onto the team thinking, hey, he may be a part of our future.
Yeah.
And for that to flip in a couple of weeks, like to me that like, and just the comments, and then you just watch him, you just kind of see how he's reacting. Like you worry about his mental health, right? Like to me, that's my key reaction here is it's like, we can respond to his comments, but they're not. The problem is we're responding to his comments like they're rational comments. These are not rational comments. Like this man is not. He's going through a crisis. Like,
yeah.
And so,
and it would be nice if that was the conversation we knew how to have. But you're right. Yeah. We just don't.
Yeah. So
hard transition. Talking about something that matters that we don't know how to talk about to something that absolutely doesn't, that I definitely do know how to talk about. Yeah. And that is the MVP race. And we want to make sure we touch on this, or I definitely want to make sure we touch on this because I think it allows us a few different ways to talk about this season real quickly. I think one of the most interesting things about this MVP race, and I'll say at the top of this, is that the MVP race is mostly seen as between four people. Some people would say between two, but I will say between four here just to make sure that we're having a kind of more comprehensive conversation about it.
I think who are you're thinking people are saying SGA and Wemby? People have already put
yeah. I think that's actually the only two people who have a real chance to win it. I would say are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs.
And anyway,
the other two people,
I just disagree, but whatever.
The other two people who I think we have whatever the opposite of a vote is here. Our opinions are taken as negatives against whoever we support. Anyway, the other two people are Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, everyone's usual favorite for best player in the world, and my favorite player in the world, Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers. those are the four people that we're really talking about here. And I kind of did a little breakdown of why I think their different arguments are here and why I think this is a particularly interesting race. The main reason is that they're also goddamn good this year. Usually, the reason why we come down to two people in the MVP race, there's almost always some fight between two people at the end of every season.
Right.
The reason why there's usually that is
We love
that
a binary. That's no, it's not
yes,
it.
yes. But
Okay.
there's also a big separation usually between those two players and everybody else below them in terms of what their production is. And I would say this year there is not that argument. There are four
Yeah.
guys here who are doing crazy shit, but they're
Which
doing
is
it in
wild
different ways.
because like SGA has been like the presumed favorite here. SGA has been amazing. And
He
in the
has
last
been.
month has just their team has beaten all of these other teams and he has had game
He's the
winners.
effective
He has been
incumbent. He's the incumbent here because
yeah,
his
yeah.
team won
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah.
He's the reigning MVP, and they
Yeah.
started the season 30-5,
Yeah.
and he's never really fallen off. He's
Yeah.
never had a moment where you go, I don't know if he's gonna be. He just got hurt. That was the only real thing that anyone
Yeah.
had any question on if he was gonna
And
win
they
the
look like
MVP.
the best team in the world
And
right now.
they still look like the best team in basketball. They still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I, if you've ever listened to me talk about basketball, you would know that I probably don't think that Shea is the best player in the league. And so this MVP race is kind of an interesting one for me. And that's why I wanted to start with him here because I honestly, on the books, think he has a better case than who you might be surprised. I think he has a better case than. I think he actually has a great case for winning MVP
Yeah.
this year. I think the main reason why I think he has a great, great, great case here is as much as we will talk about on this podcast and as much as we love because of the players who we love, a player who can really run an offense and be the one-man offense. What
Yeah.
we have kind of forgotten is the idea of the Jordan-like, Kobe-like
Just
scorer
yeah.
who can just put it in the basket whenever they want to and make it so that their team's offense doesn't need to be this complicated thing that one guy's running all the time. It's just give that motherfucker the ball
Give
and
this
we'll
dude the
see what
ball. Get out of the
happens.
way. Yeah.
And this year, Shea has been the most give that motherfucker the ball I have ever seen of maybe any guard ever. So the first
I mean,
argument I have for
to
him,
me, as a man old enough to remember Michael Jordan, like I'm not gonna say he was better than Jordan, but
he's not
this,
better than Jordan. He's not better than. All right, he's having a year that I would say is comparable to easily the best Kobe years. And I
yeah,
think the
right,
reason why I'm
yeah,
really more
agreed.
so measuring him
Comparable or
against
better
height.
because to me the Kobe years were marred a little bit by what you probably are going to talk about here, and that is the efficiency,
The
right?
efficiency, yeah.
Is that Kobe had that the raw scoring numbers, but and the game that kind of looks similar. I mean that I love the comparison between these three because their games are similar, right?
They are.
Like even how they
They
play.
operate out of the mid or
Yeah,
the mid post. They score more efficiently that way. They get to the line a lot. They get to the rim a lot.
I would almost argue to me watching SGA this year that this may be the closest I've ever seen to Jordan. I think closer than
Zach Lowe pissed
yeah,
everyone in the world off by saying that
yeah.
the other day. It's a
And
very
I
like
mean, and
it
Kobe's
was a
amazing.
very
Like that's not
more people of what you would call it or more famous than Jesus kind of moment. And that you just said the wrong guy's name. But
yeah,
yeah, the God's honest truth is he plays like him. And so
yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah,
And so I just want to say the real argument here is this guy is he is scoring at the efficiency of great big man scorers while operating pretty far away from the rim a lot of the time.
right, right.
Like
Which
he's
is
op
wild because
yes.
that is one of the greatest constants in efficiency, right? Like Daryl Morey built an entire basketball program, pretty much revolutionized the way that the game is played by this assumption that the closer to the basket you get, the greater your chance of making the basket, right?
And that wasn't it took forever for us to get there, but that is
yeah,
an obvious
it's an
realization by
obvious
how
thing.
and also by how offense has been run forever. It
Yeah,
was always a big man's game
right.
because the big man's right there. And
They're
if the big
closer.
man
They're
can
just
score, yeah,
closer to the
yes,
basket. This
yes.
is
And
why
so like
it self selects for height. This is why
Shay's
I
putting up
never had a chance. I never had a chance.
that's the reason why he never had a chance. Shea is putting up Kareem numbers. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like that's what he's
it's
doing.
wild.
He's having a Kareem season.
Yeah,
Like that's where I think it's like funny who we compare him to. Put it like this. Mike never scored like this efficient. This is a weird fucking efficiency here. 55% on two-pointers whenever he's shooting so many jumpers.
Yeah.
66% are true shooting. And the note that I put here on purpose was Luka has been basically inarguably maybe the
Yeah.
best player in the league in the last two
For
months.
the last
Or
month at
like
least.
that's what someone would that's what I would want to say as a Luka or diehard. Guess what? Shay's been more efficient than him the last 2 months.
It's wild.
And they just haven't lost. Also, the Thunder have not lost
Yeah.
in that time.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest obvious argument is he's the most efficient scorer in the league, and there's no one even close. Jokic and Luka are the closest people, and they're not that close. Now, the other argument is basically this guy is a different kind of killer. Like this guy is ending games at an efficiency that is unthinkable. Highest clutch true shooting of the four guys, only a little bit higher than Luka and Jokic, but the real one is how much he's scoring in the games. Meaning, at the ends of games, their offense is so clearly just put the ball in his hands and he will make it happen. And you can see here of clutch
And that's
points of
what's
the four
happening.
per 75, he's putting up 47 points per 75. Wow. Which is 12 points higher than Jokic, 17 higher than Luka. And then he's also, so they're putting the ball in his hands all the time at the ends of these games. He's not giving it up. He's shooting, scoring a lot of points. He's also not losing the ball. He's handling the ball more than anyone else of these guys in the clutch, but he's got the lowest clutch turnover percentage
Yeah.
by a huge margin. Like he's at 5.7% of the time he's turning the ball over in those possessions, while Luka, who is second among these guys, is at like 8.9.
Hmm. That's crazy.
This
Because
dude,
Luca also doesn't turn the ball
turn the
over.
ball
Like
over.
he doesn't.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's more obvious with the Thunder what they're going to do at the ends of games on offense, and it doesn't matter. He's still getting off what he wants to get off every fucking time. Um, the other little, I'm going to put a couple of little supporting arguments that I think are weaker. The weaker arguments are that he doesn't have enough offensive help with him.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of arguable among some of these other guys that they do, that they have more. I also think that the Thunder have pretty decent offensive players around them. It's just kind of spread out how their offense is played, whether
Right.
it's AJ Mitchell
Right.
or,
Well,
Chet Holmgren.
and to me that'd be a volume stat. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would be like a volume scoring. But
And
like
then there's the
what
defense
the
argument that
efficiency
he's a
is
good
like.
defender
Yeah.
and Jokic is an outright bad defender. Luka has been good at defense for a part of the season, but not
Mm.
consistently throughout the year, and usually is seen as a bad defender. I think that argument falls apart when you look at one of the people he's compared against. That's why it's like, oh, he's a pretty good defender. It's like, yeah, are we counting that as much? If we're talking about defense here,
Yeah.
there's a guy who we might want to weigh a little bit differently. Okay, so my argument for Shea is simply this guy is the best scorer and the most efficient of them.
Yeah.
And then we get to
On
the
the
point that
best team. On the best team. And
on the
I think
best team, on the best
that
team.
matters to some people.
I think it matters a lot. I think he's a great player. I think what really matters about it is his team is not that great at offense, and he is such an efficient scorer on that team.
Yeah.
Now,
So he's so essential to that.
yes, the most essential. Luca. I look, man. I'm just happy we're talking about him. Like I'm just happy we find because we spent I got a month and a half ago we had Sarah on this podcast and I'm sitting here saying why the fuck are we ignoring how good this man's season is? And it
Yeah.
got better and better and better and we finally got to the point where we're acknowledging it. Now, last night we're doing this on a Friday, the day after Luca just hurt his hamstring in a game against the Thunder where the Thunder blew the
It
shit
was
out of the fucking Lakers.
and they
Blew them out of
destroyed
the
them in
water.
the first quarter. And
Yeah, it was over before it started.
What was impressive about that first quarter to me was all the turnovers. Was
Yes.
that the Thunder turned over this team that doesn't turn over the ball
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, which just their defense is.
But I just want to make it clear the two arguments for Luca are so obvious.
Yeah.
And it feels like I get it. We want to move away from points, rebounds, assists, and just saying that matters. We want to move away from saying, hey, who seems the most valuable? But let's just be real.
Yeah.
He's got the most stats. He's played the most minutes, scored the most points, averages the most, and his team sucks. Like they're just not to the level of these other guys around them. Yet, the number one, these are the guys who are the representative of the first, second, third, and fourth best teams in the West. And his team is third, and they should not be there. Of the four of these other guys have championship rosters around them. He does not. And yet they are
Like by
still
a lot
there
does not. By like
fighting
a
amongst the
miles
big.
does not.
Yes, yes. And so, look, I would normally spend a lot more time on Luca here, but I just want to make it clear he's got the best use or got the most usage, and he's still playing a crazy efficient season. I love him. He's having a great year. If that game hadn't gone the way that it did last night, you probably would have had me here
Yeah.
arguing that he should be a different place in the rankings where I have him. He's probably fourth here. Let's just be real. He's probably fourth. And the
But
reason why he's probably fourth is this is what I really want to talk about
you're saying in your rankings, like
in
you
my in
actually
my personal rankings and
okay.
where I
Huh.
put him. No, 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 no. I think in real life, I think he's third. What you call it? Jokic is having a better year than we're willing to say. Jokic is having like a crazy, crazy offensive year.
Yeah.
He's in the top of every stat by such a large margin that it's a little infuriating
Every
that we're not
advanced stat.
talking
Every
about him.
advanced
Every
stat.
advanced stat. But also, no, fuck that. Our rebounds an advanced stat? Our assists an advanced stat? Because he leads the league in both of those, and
Yeah.
he's going to be the first person ever to do that. To lead the league in both rebounds and assists in the same season.
He
He's
hasn't
also
done it
like,
before?
huh? No, he hasn't done it before, and no one's ever done it before.
Huh. Bron's never done it. I guess
No,
rebounds.
because Braun gets
Rebounds
like
are
80 a
yeah.
year. Luca
Yeah,
gets like
yeah,
nine. This guy's
yeah,
averaging like 11 this year.
yeah, yeah,
This guy's the whole offense.
yeah.
Their whole offense is him, and it doesn't even need to be. They've got a great offense without him. He's just that good that every ball, every possession should be in his hands because he will deal with it as quickly and as nimbly as possible. I just want to know he's had the worst injury luck of all of these guys. His stats in another year where there wasn't this, we're basically like the top two teams in the West. This is the problem with it. This is the Jokic's main problem. The top two teams in the West are run by the other two are MVP candidates here. And so they've got more wins. They've
Yeah.
they've led to winning more, those two guys' play. And so SGA and Wemby are going to de facto be ahead of them in this. I'm just going to argue right here. What I really want to argue is that Jokic should be second in MVP voting this year.
So
Jokic has had, I think Jokic has had the second best year this year. I think he's so important on offense that yes, his kind of tail off on defense this year should be given a little bit more grace because I think it matters more what he's doing than what Shea is doing. I'm sorry.
so I want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
And I want to make a few arguments for. So I think, and you mentioned it. I just wanted to kind of bump this a little bit because I know we're about to talk about Wemby a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think the counting stats matter. I think they should matter. I think the league is trying to push this with 65 games because, you know, like be like literally contributing. These are literal contributions, right? To
Yes.
your team throughout the year, right? Like the
Yes.
total number of points scored, the total number of rebounds, right? Like I think we've been obsessed with efficiency because I think we're obsessed with like assembling lineups and being a GM and whatever. But like the literal contributions that someone makes, like are the totals, right? And games played matters in that. And like, you know, and total points scored matters in that. And you know what I'm saying? So I think that to me matters also just from like an eye test. Luka is just playing insane basketball right now. He is just toying with anybody. Um, we also should, to me, the other argument for Luka, and here is that LeBron and Reeves are on his team. These are
Yes.
guys who basically play the same position, who basically do what he does, right? So like, unlike Jokic, where this is where to me the advanced stats for Jokic are a little bit because plus minus is so lineup dependent, because it's so on off dependent. Like I think your teammates really, really matter in that context. And I think Denver was built around Jokic with like over time, kind of like understanding that they have a rock at this position and they need to fill in everything else around him. And so
Yes.
I really don't think they when he comes off the floor, they have no one else that can do what he does. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they really don't. And I think that really has a big effect on plus minus and all of these things. And the because again, these advanced stats can't escape plus minus because they're trying to adjust for defense, and we don't really have stats for those. So
Yeah.
um but that anyway, and not to, I honestly don't know that I even have a ranking. Like I it seems like SGA is leading in this, and
SJ is
okay,
almost certainly going to win the
yeah,
MVP.
he's probably going to win. And the best player on the best team thing, okay, sure. If you want to knock Luka for games played or how good his team is, okay. If you want to knock Jokic for missing time and kind of the fall off on defense, that's real. Sure. Anyway, like, but those are those three, I think. And we started this talking about how we kind of have these models of these are four types of MVPs we've seen, and we've seen these seasons from these guys. Again, SGA is like that Kobe and MJ. Luka is in that Harden Braun, Magic mold.
Jokic is like
Jokic,
himself.
yeah, right. We've seen
Jokic
it with
had broke
Jokic,
the mold a few years ago,
right?
but now he's the
But
mold.
now he's the mold.
And
He's like
I think you
he's
put
won
Wemby
MVP
didn't have
twice.
one on the outline, but I think there's an
Yeah.
obvious one for Wemby. It's
Yeah.
Bill Russell. Yeah.
Okay.
Bill
Yeah.
Russell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Who no one knows what to do with because he just won so much, but because we don't have defensive
Good.
metrics. So we
Yeah.
always look to the metrics. We look at the scoring and the no, right? And the metrics are almost always like obviously weighted toward offense.
Yes.
So so that's where to me the Wemby case is really interesting. And that's where to me the wins and the effect of him on the court and that plus minus like kind of has to be considered because you don't have anything else. Like steals and blocks don't cut it, right? Like
Yeah.
that just doesn't capture like what a person does on defense.
Okay. I agree. I agree that it doesn't in general. I want to talk real quickly though, while before we close out this segment
Yeah. Yeah.
about the
Sorry.
fourth
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
here, because I think if you've been paying attention to what I've been saying, you got where I am actually at on the MVP scale. We're going to talk about the guy who I think is the MVP, and it's Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
the take. I did
yeah.
not expect this.
I this
Huh.
guy's been the best player this year, man. Like, so the arguments against, I'm gonna lead with because I think that those are because I think they're real. Minutes. Minutes is the obvious one. He's played 400 fewer minutes than Luka. He's played 250 fewer minutes than Jokic or Shea. There are some reasons for that. I think the main problem I have with that argument is that he's played his 65 games. He's going to have played his 65 games by the end of this. So there's no argument that he hasn't played a lot of games here. Secondly, it's not his fault that his GM is really good and they actually got him a proper backup that can eat up the minutes. Luke Cornett is one of the best backup centers in the league and one of the best backups
Or
at any position in the
slash
league.
he's on a team that cares about his health and
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
doing right by him and their franchise.
But also, a lot of the reason why his minutes are lower is that they've been blowing teams out. This is the argument that people tried to make against Curry in 2016.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's minutes are so much lower than than LeBron's, who he's being compared to. It's like, yeah, because they're up by fucking 25 when you go into the fourth quarter, or they become up by 25 whenever he comes back out for those last 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. Um, the other arguments against Wembanyama are that he is not the offensive player that those other three players are, and that is just outright true. It's very much true. He is not the offensive player that any of the three of them are yet. But I would say this, and this is a stat that I saw last week that I thought was very interesting. The Spurs have by far, like they're like up by I think like 5 shots a game on this. They produce the most corner threes in the league.
Huh.
Um, we have gotten familiar with how a shooter, because it took us a while to get to where Curry's value was actually put into words, and we started talking about gravity, and we started to say, hey, this guy moves around all the time. He creates open shots for his teammates. Those Draymond assists that look like, holy shit, Draymond's got 9 assists.
Yeah.
Those assists kind of belong to Curry
Yeah.
because Curry just dragged two defenders with him. And all Draymond had to do, not all Draymond had to do, but what Draymond had to do was, oh, there's an advantage right there. I picked it out, and there it is. But the advantage was created by Curry's movement. In the same way, Victor Wembanyama roles need to start being tracked. Victor Wembanyama roles are the most hilarious things to watch in basketball because you will watch guys, smart players,
Yeah.
players that know you do not double off of a player one pass away. You do
Mm-hmm.
not, or what you call, you do not double off of Kevin Durant. You do not, or double off of Julian Champagny because he's a dead eye shooter. They just can't help themselves. The most terrifying thing in the world is coming at them, and he's got great hands, and he knows what the play is, and also he doesn't need any of that. You just throw it anywhere near him,
Right,
and
right. The lob can be anywhere. Right.
yeah,
That's what
and
I
so
was
they
gonna say.
put
I was
four
like,
guys in front of him to stop it, and then guess what you get? You get open fucking threes, and he never touches the ball, and he never gets credit for it. But their
yeah,
offense is top four in the league, way
yeah,
better than the Thunder's,
yeah,
way better than the Thunder's. Among the level of these guys who we compare them to, like Luca, or these guys who we're comparing to at the top of the offensive game. Yes, production wise himself, he is not quite there with them, but he is
the
the
counting
second
stats that he is
is
collecting,
producing
right?
are
Like
not quite there.
he,
They're
which
still
is
astronomical though. Like they're
right.
still really
Which
good.
counts as like points he is directly scoring or an assist where he is passing the ball to another person who is directly scoring, right? Like the hockey assist doesn't count. Yeah, and per your point, right? Like Draymond got all those assists on Curry, but like it was Curry's gravity that allowed that off. Curry and Clay's both really honestly a lot, and their cutting
Yes.
that allowed that offense to
But
run.
so much of that was the movement. And that's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say is Wembanyama's movement here should
yeah,
be credited.
yeah,
Okay. Now, let's or what you call it. Then there's then there's two arguments to make here. The first one I'm going to make is honestly the one that you would normally put at the end of things, and that is just the outright, okay, we say Shea's the best player because he's got these plus minus numbers that still with his lineup data that make him look so good. Guess what? That's gone. The advantage he had in those stats are gone. He and Victor Wembanyama are in a dead tie for EPM at the top of the league. That is our best plus minus stat that we have so far. It's the one that
yeah.
seems to track most with who we think are the best players in the league. When it comes to raw plus minus, with all those minutes below him, I want to know with 200 minutes below him, he is 20 points below plus minus on Shea.
Hmm.
He is
Oh, just
the
raw,
most,
like yeah.
yes, on raw
Okay.
plus minus. He is their team. The
Yeah.
Spurs are great. The Spurs have built themselves well. They are beautiful. We had could these three guards play together at the beginning of the season? Who the fuck is Julian? Are Julian Champagny and Keldon Johnson? We weren't saying their names because we didn't think that they were rotation players. Everyone looks better. Yes, you can give it to Mitch Johnson. Yes, you can give it to the way that these guys are developed. You can definitely give it to the NBA draft, handing them a fucking number two pick in a year that they probably should have gotten like a number seven, and they got Dylan Harper.
Yeah. Harper's been great.
But it's Wembanyama, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Wembanyama.
Yeah.
They're 24-2 in their last 26 games. They cannot lose. Of the games they've lost in there, one didn't have him in it. They played against the Nuggets. He didn't play. They lost by like four because they do have a very good team. And the other one they lost to the Knicks, who are a good team that shows up every once in a while. The last thing I just want to say is I compared him to Bill Russell for a reason. We don't know how to track this stuff. We don't know how to, we really don't know what he's contributing at this point on defense. What we know is what we see. And what we see when we see Victor Wembanyama is that your team and your best player has not figured out how to score on him yet. And it's been 3 years. And it's been a full year where everybody's throwing everything at him and they cannot figure this out. And guess what? When those two teams play each other in this playoffs, which they probably will, the Thunder and the Spurs, it will be the Thunder trying to figure out the Spurs, not the other way around, even though they're the champs, even though they've got the talent. And I'm sorry, man. I had a million people my entire life whenever I was talking about the counting stats and I was like, Kobe's the MVP or what you call it, Harden's the MVP. Whoever my guy was who was putting up some crazy stat line, there was always some pompous ass who came up to me and was like, isn't it obviously Tim Duncan? Isn't it obviously Stephen Curry? They're obviously the player that affects everything around them all the
Yeah.
time. And they had an argument, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And guess what, man? This is it. You're watching it.
Yeah.
This is the guy. We're
Yeah.
changing everything because of how he plays, and so are the Thunder, and so are the Nuggets. And as good as Jokic is, he doesn't know if he can score on him. And as good as Shea is, he doesn't know if he can score on a team that's run or with this guy behind them.
Or
And
if they do, they're doing everything to put him somewhere else, to get
yes,
him away from the basket.
but you
Every
can't do
team,
it. But that's
yeah,
the problem is that you can't
yeah,
get him away
yeah.
from you. You play
No,
a fucking
I'm with you. I had heard somebody recently talking about how, and I thought this was a really nice take on it. Just like how much teams have to game plan, like how much you have to change what you're doing, right? Like you're just like somebody mentioned something about it's like what you're not even seeing here is the plays that are not run, the plays that like that they just scrap, that teams just say, you know what, we're not even going to try
that's
to
just
run that
not
because
gonna
this guy
work.
is going to take that away. And to me, I'm kind of, man, you know what's crazy is I think you got me. I wasn't ready to say it. I didn't have a strong take, but I think you got me.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. And I also think that like in this post analytics world, you know, I think we spend a lot of time kind of digging in, right? And sort of digging deep and sort of like trying to find like the minutia and the small answers and the little reasons why something, you know, is one way or another. And I think stats are great, and they do like, and we have done a lot to further our understanding, I think. But man, I mean, just if you just look at it, like this team is really young, you know, and I think they've been assembled well, right? But Castle's in his second year, man. Harper's in his first year. I love Fox, but like, how much was Sacramento winning with him? Like, I just like who if you just take these guys off of their teams, and this is such a reductive exercise, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's always we always, but I do think it's helpful if you just, hey, let's remove this player. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Jokic, to me, that gives me a better argument for anybody but SGA, you know, to be honest. Like the other three, I mean, and that's, look, that also is maybe too reductive in the sense
Yeah.
that like,
Yeah.
hey, it's not SGA's fault that the
Fault that
Thunder
Sam
has like
Presti's so good at his job
stacked
and
like
that
with
Mark
talent, you know what I
Dagnall
mean?
does an amazing job. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. It's not their fault, right? Like, you know, yeah, and whatever. It's not Luka's fault that he got traded to a team with two guys who play
Yeah, but
kind of
it's also
who
not
play his
Wembanyama's fault
positions.
that this team is built well too and that they can
Yeah,
handle it whenever he's gone.
yeah,
Because on another team, the way he's playing right now, if he were on another team, his plus
yeah,
minus would be so
yeah,
astronomical.
yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
So,
Um,
that's all I gotta say is this is a great MVP race, and I know that the league and its voters are going to probably do what everyone wanted to do this year and believe that we had another year before it was Wembanyama's league, but we don't. It's his league. They're the number two seed. He's the MVP. And I think that, and my only hot take here, I don't think that that's a fucking hot take. I think people are crazy for thinking that's a hot take. I think my only hot take here is that I think Jokic should be ahead of SGA in it. But I think they're very comparable.
yeah, it's
I
tough,
the
man.
main
It's an exciting year, right? There's
it
a lot
is
of
it is
talent
the main
to
reason
have
I think
four
they're
legit.
comparable is
Yeah,
that I think Jokic has had a big fall off on defense. I
yeah,
think normally the way that Jokic's production has looked is better than what SGA brings.
which is
No,
crazy because we just
no,
compared SGA to fucking Michael
yeah,
Jordan.
yeah. No offense to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to be a Hall of Famer and a first balloter, and maybe
Yeah,
one of he's in the running to be a 10 best player of all time with the kind of way
yeah,
he's running right now.
right.
This guy, this guy's different. All right, we're about to talk to Mirinda Rose about WNBA CBA, and let's have some fun.
All right, thank you.
Play with ball. Welcome back to the Way We Ball.
We're back.
Welcome back, and we are welcoming our very good friend Mirinda Rose. Hello, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
We're
Thank you
doing
for
great.
coming.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for dealing with
Yeah,
how loud we are and
Yeah,
usual.
yeah.
Just
I
they
try
trying
to
to
can
keep
keep
be.
So we brought you on because we want to talk about the WNBA CBA, not because you are the biggest basketball fan in the world. Although if you want to reveal like your deep secret basketball knowledge here, that would also be awesome. But mostly because you're an organizer and often in the labor spaces, and you're both and you're a historian on the subject, and you kind of have an idea on just how this looks and what this might mean and what I want to know what this means to you because I can talk about what it means to me as a WNBA fan,
Yeah.
but I think this what this means to you as somebody who kind of tracks how CBAs around the country go, usually with less rich and powerful people than those involved in this one, is an interesting perspective. And I don't know, I thought that you might be interested in hearing about it. I know you and I texted about this whenever we first heard the news in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, so this does feel really unprecedented. It's one of the single biggest jumps in sports labor deals. It's especially rare for a women's professional league. Most leagues take multiple CBAs or strikes to get changes like this, and WNBA players forced major structural changes in one agreement. And it happened at the exact moment the league was rapidly growing, which I think
Yeah.
is really cool. But
To
I
people and
also,
exciting.
yeah, I'm really
Also
proud.
seemed very smart of the players to have used this leverage
Yeah.
like they did here, right? Like
Yeah.
one of the more interesting facts about, I don't know if you saw this in, it wasn't in a lot of the stuff I sent over or some of the things we talked about, but most of the league, I believe like all but like 98% of the league's players became free agents this summer on purpose. And that in and of itself was a huge move by the players to make it clear like they would have all of the leverage in the world. There was nobody because I think a lot of what ends up happening with CBA negotiations in the NBA, which is where I'm obviously the most familiar, and honestly, what probably led me to become a lawyer like 13 years ago was being obsessed with reading the NBA lockout in 2012, like how the CBA drafts came along. What we see a lot is that the owners can often play players who are free agents against players who are on contract who want to get back to the league starting up because they will get paid again whenever the league starts up, which
Yeah.
effectively separates their or the union in a way that you can't it's really hard to battle against. It makes it so that people have to pay, or some of the richer players have to help pay other people's salaries. It makes it so that people are basically playing in other leagues around the world, and it makes it so that people are going to like there's just a weaker there's weaker leverage on the labor side, and that the players had all made this decision collectively together before this to say we're not signing 5-year deals, even though I could sign myself a 5-year deal here. Yes, it was also that's also beneficial to themselves because they could never get a deal on that last CBA that would be like the deal that they're going to get here.
Yeah.
That also still took people going, you know what? I'm going to turn down guaranteed money. I'm going
Yeah.
to risk a little bit here to make sure that all of us are taken care of at the end of it, which is like
Collective action.
but
Yay.
all we're ever asking for in this goddamn country and world and society. Yeah. So you want to run through a few of I'm gonna run through a few of the facts about the new CBA that are some of the shifts, and then we can talk a little bit about what that means now. So the biggest thing that changed are, and the most obvious things are the changes from minimum salaries, which are the most important thing on an outright or labor idea because it means
Right.
that this is what the lowest amount that anyone's getting paid is. And then also, obviously, those shifts to the supermax, to the biggest deals that anybody can get. So the minimum salary used to be $75,000. Used to be $75,000 for people who are working an entire year where they're basically not living at home. They are getting
Yeah.
paid
They're
worse than
traveling the whole
traveling
time.
nurses. They are
Yeah.
getting paid worse than like construction workers who travel. Like
Mhm.
basically, and they at the time had no elder care. I mean, but it's like there are no pensions for players who got injured. And I don't know if you play basketball before, but you get injured sometimes. And they had no, or, all of that has shifted. Now the minimum salary for a first round draft pick is $386,000. The minimum salary for the league is 270,000 for 0 years of service and up to 300,000 for a 10 years of service player. All of those will increase by 4% each year as the CBA goes on. The Supermax, which previously was 17% of the cap, which was previously basically equivalent to these minimum salary numbers. Like the minimum salary, which used to be the maximum salary, and the maximum salary is now $1.4 million. And one of my favorite things I read anybody respond to this was Courtney Williams, the what you call it, Minnesota Lynx player, saying, "We about to be millionaires." It's like, yeah, you are. You are totally about to be millionaires.
That's right.
But also the big in a huge shift overall was that this is the thing that I think changed everything. The league's money used to be tied to how much money they were getting from the NBA as subsidies to support the league. And now it is directly tied to revenue sharing because, as Mirinda alluded to earlier, there's been great growth in the league in the last couple of years, tied to the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese draft class, and then the excitement for the league or for these classes that have come right afterwards with Paige Bueckers and Juju Watson in a year, hopefully getting drafted by the Houston Comets.
And Olivia
Uh,
Miles.
yeah, yeah, and making 300 or 8% more than 300K, or excuse me, as that minimum salary. So I just kind of wanted to lay out the baseline lay of the land. These are huge shifts.
Yeah.
Can you kind of give us a little bit of context on about how big that shift is, both in comparison to labor deals that change in general, and then maybe a little bit more with just sports leagues because that's probably a better apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, I can do my best. I
Yeah.
think what's also really cool about this deal is that they're being treated more like professional athletes. They have expanded medical staff with trainers, doctors, nutritional specialists. They have mental health support and reimbursement. They have minimum standards for practice facilities, locker rooms, like non-public eating spaces, treatment space. They have right to second medical opinions and lots of family protections in the CBA. Um, they cannot trade pregnant players without their consent. There's paid parental leave, including for non-birthing parents. There's also kids are allowed to travel with the team, and there's extra accommodations.
When I
And
read
there's
that they couldn't do that before that, and that blew my mind that they had, or what you call it, they had to make deals specifically with the team to
It's
have their
crazy.
kids come along with them. Whenever you see like NBA players literally on the private jets with
With
or
their
what you
kids.
call it, with their
Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
All the time.
Sorry, I
yeah,
didn't mean to
it's
cut you off, Miranda. It was just like
Also,
that
just
was
like
wild.
corporate shit. It's like
yep.
even corporations have like shitty corporations who treat their employees like crap, like have better policy than that. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge shift, and I think any working person should be able to choose when or how or if they have families. Um, there's a lot of cool things in the CBA, and we don't have all the exact language yet, but some of the
Yeah.
things we do know that like charter flights are standardized as well to make it easier for folks. There's bigger rosters, developmental spots, performance bonuses have increased. There's retired player payments and
there it
healthcare
is.
support.
Yeah.
Um, More transparency and officiating, expanded schedule and longer season, earlier rookie salary protection, and players gain more licensing control. And they do have about 20% revenue share, which is up from less than 10. It's not equal to the NBA, which is about 50% revenue
Yeah.
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a huge, huge win. And I'm really proud of them.
That's
It's
awesome.
hard not to feel that way. Like
Right.
they really did such a good job negotiating this one and making it so a lot of what we talk about when we talk about women's basketball over the last 15 years has been about how much WNBA players and professional women's basketball players have been more prominent,
Oh,
but they've
sorry.
had to go ahead and play basically around the world and around the schedule, like the actual yearly schedule to play or to be able to make a just survivable amount of money for the amount or for what they've had to do. Like
Right.
these people playing in Russia, people playing in
And
they're
that
still
costs at
playing.
least one player her freedom for like fucking 2 years, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna say the reason why we've talked about one of the biggest stories, or the biggest story, was Brittany Griner, and the only
Yeah,
reason why Brittany Griner was in Russia to get popped for having fucking weed on her was that she was not getting paid enough for being the best rim
right.
protector
And
in women's
everybody's like
basketball.
shat on her for like, oh, you're dumb, you bring weed to Russia, and it's like, why did she have to go work in Russia? Because she wasn't getting paid enough
Also,
here
what
as a
NBA
crazy
player?
superstar.
Like every NBA player has a sack of weed on them at all times, and
I
it's
mean,
like
this is
decriminalized in most of
this
the
a
cities they live
stereotype.
in.
That's a
Yeah, no,
stereotype, sir. You're just spreading
what effort. I cheer for
stereotypes.
Kevin Durant's team. I'm very aware of how many guys are smoking weed in this league. Anyway, I just like you said, it's just so nice to see the league professionalized.
Yeah,
We had these like basically tiered basketball worlds where we're talking
yeah,
about these players like they're the same level of stars, but women are playing like it's in 1975 where you're sharing commercial flights with
yeah.
people and you're like not able to sleep properly and you're not eating, and it's not like I'm not look, man, these are the reason why it's hard for us to talk about this sometimes is like, yeah, these are still advantages, obviously, over the average working person to
Yeah.
whenever it comes to your day-to-day life, but they're not being judged like the average working person. They're being judged like professional athletes and on the standards of professional
Whose
athletes.
jobs are like hard, and you have
Yes.
to, the traveling matters,
Yeah.
right? If you have to travel for your job, like I do everything I can to not travel for my job,
Yeah.
like all the time. People at my job travel, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, that sucks. I'm not going to do that
They're
anyway.
they're taxing and
Yeah,
constant, man. Like you said, this is
it's
insane that
hard. Yeah,
we had
physically hard. This is
that we
manual
had these
labor,
people
really,
doing this.
genuinely that they're doing, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's games were on ESPN. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you would be watching them on the Sports Center, and then they would go home and have to fly a goddamn Spirit
yeah,
flight back.
right,
Like, what are you
right,
talking about?
yeah.
I'm sorry, Miranda, I just stepped over you. What were you gonna say?
Is it okay? I also kind of wanted to talk about like the timeline of everything because like this is really impressive and exciting to me in an organizing context.
Please
Like,
lay that out. Yeah.
yeah, short timeline. Like in 2024, the players were opting out of their old deal. They wanted a bigger share. Summer 2025 talks were stalling, and players went public. And that's when you saw shirts that were like, "Pay us what you owe us,"
Uh-huh.
right?
Nafisa Collier
December.
coming out like who had been the star of the finals the year before
And
this,
was the
like,
likely MVP winner. Yeah.
and the like, yeah, right, exactly. And in her post-game presser, maybe you saw this. I apologies again for stepping on you. She took her entire postseason press conference to advocate.
And to
It
shit
was
on
awesome.
Kathy Engelbert. Yeah.
That's true.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really important and it's really cool that folks were able to do that. Um, After like that kind of was happening in summer of 2025, December 2025, 98% vote to authorize a strike. And that scared the shit out of the league and all the people who stood to profit
That's
off these
huge.
people. They're like, oh no. And I gotta say, like, part from what I've witnessed, part of like the WNBA growth, like a lot of lesbians and sapphics are really into the WNBA, with good reason. So they kind of saw that and were like, hey, we have some leverage, you should be scared. And then negotiations were pretty tense through February and March, and a deal was reached on the 18th. Players approved it unanimously on the 23rd. Um, and there was like 17 months of negotiations total. Uh,
That's a
and
long
in the
time.
final week of negotiations, there's like over 100 hours of marathon bargaining sessions. The deal was reached just weeks before the season started. Um, there's a lot at stake for the owners and the league. Like they were going to stand to lose ticket sales, game day revenue, TV money, sponsor deals, and they were at risk of slowing the growth of the league that they'd been waiting on for a while, an expansion
Uh-huh.
plan.
Right,
And
at a time when the growth was really there, right? When like,
yeah,
and also in a way they're kind of almost a season or two past like this initial step up growth, right? So
Yeah.
like this could be a really dangerous moment where people's eyes kind of move away if all of a sudden the strike causes you to miss a season.
Not just that. Last year, so many of these players, or sorry, so many of these ownership teams changed. Like a lot, there's been a lot of new investment in the league. And this was the perfect time to take every one of these little creepy venture capitalist SOBs and go, hey, you got a new investment. pay up on it before you decide that you can trade it around the way that you do everything else in your world. And like they just like you said, like they perfectly timed this.
And the thing is, like, what they gain from this, even though it costs the league a lot of money, it costs the league millions and millions less than they would have lost if these workers uh
Right.
Stop
stop
labor.
stop
Yes. Oh my
using their
God.
labor.
What
Yeah.
a thought.
So yeah.
Um, so we'll talk a little bit about more general WNBA stuff at first, but I kind of just wanted to, because I want to talk about what you really know. What what do you think that they did here that was effective and that can be translated into other labor wins across the country? Because I don't think because that's the reason why I was trying to compare it to other things earlier, because sports leagues are different and a little
There.
they're because they're entertainment, they're more akin to something like the SAG or writer strikes whenever it comes to what the public is going to want out of them as opposed to the way that the public interacts with other labor unions. And but I still think that you taking a look at this probably saw some things that you liked and that you thought were at least good symbols of what we could think about doing. And I wanted to ask you, what did you like from this that you thought could be at least somewhat translated to other labor fights around the country?
Yeah, like on a basic level, I'm just really excited because like nothing changes without collective action. This deal didn't happen because the league felt generous. It happened because the
Right.
players were organized and they were ready to strike. They were ready to lose out um on their own funds. But
Yeah.
they knew that the conditions were really hard for people who are giving their bodies every day to a sport. And they knew their value. Workers create value, right? Like the players are the reason that people watch, they buy tickets, that they tune in, and none of that exists without them. Um, I think those are two things that you can really like be like, oh my gosh, I can see that where I work. Um, where I work, I cannot collectively bargain legally in the state of Texas, but we found a way around that, right? We were able to come up with a consultation policy where we can still talk to management with union representation if we want. And quite frankly, looking at like labor struggles like this is really invigorating to like find out like what are the conditions of the places that I'm working in, the people that I'm working with, what are our legal parameters that we have to
Yeah.
work with, and like where can we go? Um, yeah.
That knowledge of like the value of your labor is the one that I think is really hard for a lot of people who are not in unions and who
Yeah.
work in companies where like some of that information is just like a little less transparent than it can
Yeah.
be in a place like this, like the WNBA, where you go, I see what your ticket sales are. You don't
Right.
get to hide these numbers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're a publicly traded company, and not just you're a publicly traded company. You're a publicly traded company that ESPN reports on, that like, but that CBS News is going to be reporting on, and will actually care about what your ticket returns are. I know what I'm worth because I know that that number is different than it was 10 years ago, and I know that that's changing for you. Um, it's really hard to get to that point where you're like, this is what we're all so trained by being in America for such a long time that we are all replaceable. We are all of our labor can always be, there's an AI bot waiting to take all of our jobs. If it's not an
Or just
AI
some
bot,
young person who's
there's
graduating
there's just
college.
someone younger than you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that because of that, like there's something so exciting about seeing like the vets of a league go, no, I know we're going to be able to cash in on that.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that we can kind of try and gather, or what are some of the ways that you tried to do that whenever you're talking about like either your job or when you talk to other people about that? How do you kind of gather what the value of labor is and where should we go in trying to do that?
Well, the first thing that I always do when I'm approaching something, whether it's my workplace or somebody else's workplace, um, is just like talking to people about like what they're dealing with on a daily basis. Like, what do you go through? What do we have in common? Because that helps like reach a level of like, oh, we have some collective needs.
Yeah.
Um, uh, collective needs that we can address. Um,
Right.
and that kind of helps build like a little bit of power, like because individuals do have value and like collectively we have value, but it's hard to start by saying, "Oh, like you're super valuable." If you like get people to like get more in the mindset of like being part of a collective and being
Yeah.
interconnected with all the people around them, it's a lot easier to be like, "Hey, we have value." And when you see that we have value, you're like, "Oh, well, I'm part of this." So I
Yeah.
I very much like to approach things, and other organizers I'm around, like meeting people where they're at, figuring out how you can get them in a collective mindset, being like, what do we all have to gain together? And like once people are kind of start thinking like, oh, like like it's
Yeah.
easier to be like, they are nothing without us.
Right.
And like that's kind of where you can bring in like, we have value, you have value.
Well, and I think it's hard, and that's what's funny, I think, about this context, right? Is that like I think the nature, the structure of capitalism, of the way our like pretty much everything that we have and do in our workplaces is about competition, right? So the idea that like and again, even here, this is literally this is a league of competition, right? So
Yeah.
to when you speak about value like that, it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to our peers and say, well, my I should be valued more than that person because and so and compete for promotions for and even in this context like for higher pay relative to our other to the other to your peers, to the other players, to our other employees, and but look, the greatest gains here that were made were with collective action, without doing that by 98% like agreement and everybody coming in together and saying yes, no, we are gonna I don't know, I just love that. I think that that's really amazing. And again, I've shared with both of you probably separately, but I work for an employee owned company, but even at my employee owned company, which has an entire ethos of like oh, we grow together, we do things together, we do revenue sharing. That's literally what our whole employee ownership is about, right? There's still this culture of competition, this culture of like um and I think we like what I like about working there is that that's mitigated, that's that culture is less so than probably anywhere else I've ever worked, but still, no matter what, it's just sort of baked into American culture in a way that just like that
It'd
I
be
think,
one thing if it were
yeah,
like friendly competition, but it's not. It's
yeah,
individualism. It's like
right,
it's the belief that you have to be in competition to just to survive and to
right.
be or and to get what you need out of something. And this watching a labor victory like this, where you have, the 400th best player in the league get just as much as or of an advantage, at least when it comes to the amount and the percentage that was increased here as the first best player in the league is, I don't know,
But that
there's
these
something
are the
beautiful
real
about that.
gains, that the
Yeah.
real gains, these are actually the real fucking gains. It wasn't from competing with each other and Asia Wilson getting a max contract over her teammate, right?
Yeah.
It was it was changing the CBA, changing the fucking rules,
It was
changing the
getting
agreement.
rookie contracts, getting
Yeah,
watering the trees that have or haven't even grown yet, and making sure that they will be okay in 6 years whenever you might be retired. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. There's still room to grow. It's still room to grow. I
yeah,
think
right.
a real obvious funny thing about this is so you named A'ja Wilson there because she's obviously the best player in the WNBA and she's three-time MVP. She's won two titles. She is very famously dating a NBA player, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is what? What would you say, Eric? The 35th best player in the NBA?
That's
Like the 40,
generous.
maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
like maybe like the 40th or the 45th or
yeah,
something like
he's
that.
good. He's
Yeah,
solid.
yeah. And A'ja Wilson's going to get a $1.4 million deal now. Like we can guarantee it. That's the max.
Yeah,
She's going to get that. How much does Bam make next year?
yeah. I don't have it in
$50
front of me.
million. Dollars.
Yeah, okay.
$50 million.
Yeah,
I looked it up while we were talking. I there's just on scale such a big difference here.
yeah.
And it's a silly difference whenever you think, yes, people will say the response by every dumbass chud who's going to listen to this conversation will be, well, this league is more popular than that one. They make more money. sure, they play in the same stadiums.
Yeah.
They play in the, you know what I mean? Like they play in the same arenas. They're shown on the same channels. Yes, there is a difference in the amount, but there is not a difference such in kind that it is 50 times
Yeah.
more valuable. Your labor is not 50 times more valuable than someone doing the exact same thing. By the way, not doing the exact same thing, doing it a lot fucking better against their
Yeah. Angel
competition
Wilson's.
than you're doing against your competition. That is insane.
Yeah.
And so I think what we really just have to start to see is some of those. We've got to see or what you call it. The fame obviously is going to increase of the women's players, and that will change things. But the men's players have to recognize they're doing the same fucking thing. I'm sorry. There's just got to be some recognition of we are playing the same game. It does not make sense for these values to be where they are. And it's just it's funny to for us to have this conversation on a podcast where you and I so often talk about contracts, Eric,
Yeah.
and we talk
And we
about
do.
like, oh, is he really a $25 million player? Is he really a $16 million player? Are they really a $70 million player? Asia Wilson sure as fuck ain't a $1.4 million player. And
That was
so,
funny. That was my first reaction. Is I was like, "Oh my god, they're making more money." And then when I heard the actual numbers, I was like, "That's not enough.
dude, I watched the
Still
Fisher
not
Power
enough."
play. That is
Yeah.
not a $1.4 million player.
Yeah.
That is a bucket every goddamn
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Um,
ahead.
their pay is still not equal to the men's leagues. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, they only have 20% revenue share, whereas NBA has about 50%.
50%.
So that's not still quite fixed, but they're still fighting for more things. And I believe with the folks like working and the WNBA Players Association, I think they'll get it. I know they're still trying to get closer to that 50% revenue share. They want long-term wealth, which includes retirement and
Yeah.
equity. And they're also looking for more support for lower paid players and more power in decisions because the owners are still in control of so much of this. But that's not to discount any of the organizing they did. Like this is just the beginning. Like they know their worth. The league knows their worth, and I'm thrilled to see where they're gonna take it.
So you mentioned this like a couple times, and I think this is something that I've I've heard about in these kind of negotiations, and I've sort of read about in the past. But as a person who's not like deeply involved with contracts or who it just honestly just gets bored when you start talking about money, to be honest. Like this idea of revenue share, how does that in general compare like to sort of everyday workers, like let's say if we're talking, I mean, and this may not be a thing that y'all know, or Miranda, that you may not have just a off the top of your head, but in general, when we're talking about collective bargaining agreements and revenue shares for employees, say like, McDonald's employees or Starbucks employees or employees at another company, like what do those numbers look like and how does this compare to that?
I don't believe that revenue sharing is as common for the regular worker that you're picturing in your mind. I think it's in this case like really important because the league is like growing like based on what they're doing. And
Yeah.
this is like a private sector area and
Yeah.
they create the value there. I think we should all have revenue sharing where we all are at, but
Right.
we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why you brought it up as your job with your job, Eric, because it is a rarity. It's
Right, because I have
uncommon
100%
that you
revenue sharing. Like that's how our company works, right?
that is
And
very rarely how companies or how companies operate.
when I look at that, like, and I'm just like, well, why? I get annoyed at a lot of shit I have to do at work, but it's like I'm there for this, and
And
that was
directly
like,
contributing to the money
yeah,
that
right,
everyone gets.
exactly, and I get that back, right? Like I have to work this weekend on some annoying thing because somebody set a really shitty schedule, right? And so like, but I texted my wife and I was like, this motherfucker's my bonus. I better see this shit.
Whenever you bitched about this to
And
me,
like,
I was like, I know this motherfucker's gonna find a way to work this into the podcast. They had to work extra this weekend.
I'm so annoyed. Anyway, whatever. But
Oh,
that's what I'm saying is like I don't. I mean, it just seems like such an obvious thing because when I hear these numbers like 50%, I'm like, well, that's not enough. Fuck that.
yeah.
What are these owners doing? What are they doing? And there's like 30 of them, 31. Okay, there's 500 something NBA players. Like They should get more. Why is it 50%? Why is it 20%? Why is it not more than that? I don't know. And maybe that's whatever. Maybe I'm like not informed about how these things function, but
No,
yeah, I
you're
don't know.
plenty informed, Eric. You're plenty informed. That should be the mantra of this fucking podcast is what are these owners fucking doing?
No,
Right.
Yeah. All right.
nothing good.
I want to let Mirinda get off fairly shortly, so I have one last question for you. If the the comments, Houston Comets have been brought back to Houston by the generosity of Tillman Fertitta and his family.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Will you go to some Comets games with us whenever they get back here and come watch some Sapphic
Yeah.
basketball?
Oh, absolutely. Count me in.
Okay.
Nice.
I was so glad you brought that up though, because look, we're going to cover the WNBA a lot more this year because basically we're as a Houston basketball podcast, we're going to have a lot more to talk about very, very, very soon.
But we need to anyway. I mean, there's
We
there's so
should be
much
doing it
exciting stuff
anyway.
happening. Yeah, we should have already been doing that. It's just that
What's
the W happens
so
mostly in the
obviously
summer,
more
and we
interesting than
started in
our
the fall.
league is that these motherfuckers are dating each other, like and flirting with each other. Do you know how insane that is? That's so much
Right.
cooler
There's so much
than
fun
anything
gossip.
that's
Come on, what are
happening
we
in
doing?
any other league. Like, oh, we have to write yaoi about these guys in the NBA. You ain't got to write shit. It's on Instagram. Like, it's yeah. So okay, I'm glad you're gonna come to. We're gonna watch some games. All right,
Absolutely.
bet. Mirinda, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Friday to be on the podcast. Thank you for ever listening to our podcast about basketball whenever you don't care that much about it. We love you so much.
Love
Thanks.
y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. And for listeners in general, this has been The Way We Ball. I am Jacob Mustafa.
I'm Eric Todd.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.